Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server. We are with our level 33 brute. Quintessence last was 2.1 million XP earned, 300,000 to go to get to level 34, and almost 30 million influence. And we're on a story arc for Tina Chung, who says, "It seems the Freaks' recent defeat at your hands really shook their faith in their leader Drek. I thought the Freaks were chaotic before, but now their inner squabbling has descended to all-out war. Someone's got to stop the Freak Show from fighting before it gets really out of hand. And we need to defeat the Freak leaders and their crews over in King's Row. So I'm here in King's Row. How about that? She sent me to the same zone. In fact, they were right here, just a couple of blocks from the train station. I've got to remember we're on +2 missions. It's going to make it a little tougher. It's absolutely fine, but it's always important to remember that before you get caught flat-footed fighting something that's +3 and you didn't expect it. Like a purple lieutenant or a deep purple boss. Oh, he took care of that guy just as he was dulling pain, which is great. One, two, three, four, five. Take out the lieutenant first. I like to go after the lieutenants, as I've mentioned before, because here we go, after 3 or 4 hits, we've got him nearly floored. And then we can go take out the minion while we wait for the lieutenant to possibly res. Because if the minion had aggroed to us, it would be less dangerous to have the minion pounding on you with no debuffs than the lieutenant. But it looks like neither of them is going to res, so we'll move in. Let's go ahead and grab some endurance. Wow, we missed 2 of them. 4 misses in a row. Wow. But we handled this no problem. This character's doing quite well. I guess we need to start thinking about our pool powers. Ordinarily, I automatically go for body mastery because I want the physical perfection or whatever it is that gives you the extra endurance and the conserve power. Don't know if we really need those on this character, because we have a way to generate our own endurance. We do want probably focused accuracy, however, which is in the same pool. There may be other powers that are equally or even more useful than focus accuracy in other pools, though. I guess we have to think about what epic pool we're going to want. If we obviously have to wait until level 41 for that, because I want to get Energize and Overload, but after doing that at level 38, then it's time to really think about what are we going to do with our epic pools. I'm not really sure. So far in this mission, we've only had +2s, which is unusual. It's usually at least half, 1 level above what you asked for. There we go, there's a level above. +3. Let's go ahead and use Soul Drain on these guys. helps us both hit and do damage. And since these guys are much higher level, it's good to have that little extra buff. That will offset the level bonuses that they get to resist us and to be missed by us, to dodge us. There we go. So we're just looking for their leaders and those crews. So I don't know how many leaders there are going to be. Clearly more than one. Doesn't seem like that big of a map. Got a lot of enhancements. They seem to drop a lot of enhancements to freaks. So another red group, +3s. I really like being able to recharge my own endurance. It's quite nice. See if we can catch these guys both in an AoE. Nope. Oh yes, we did. Good deal. Man, I'm missing this guy like crazy. There we go. Miss. You would never know we have like a 65% chance to hit these guys. It acts, for all the world, like a 30%. Or maybe a 50, but certainly not a 65. Alright, let's do Soul Drain on these guys so that we can have a buff against the Stunner Chief, who's now a purple. Fortunately, we're doing nearly double damage. Or triple damage, actually. Double miss. Always comes in twos. Of course, as soon as I said it, it made a liar out of me. It usually comes in twos. And these freaks are worth a lot of experience. They also just absolutely chew up my endurance, both between hitting me with electrical stuff and how many times you have to hit them and re-hit them because they res and dull pain and you miss. So we're definitely going to want to grab some more endurance in our next group. Now you have to watch it because this thing takes endurance to fire off. And last time I forgot that and I lost all of my toggles when I tried to run it because we were at near zero. And the endurance it took to run it zeroed me out. And then I had no endurance left and all the toggles shut down. And I had to re-engage. Now it wasn't, you know, the end of the world. We survived. But yeah, we got to remember not to quite wait that long. Are those the leaders? You'd think they'd be named. There's twin lieutenants, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of a buff there. Let's do Soul Drain as well. So we've got 2 buffs going for 2 hit. If it's just lieutenants and not bosses, we have no problem usually. And this guy is already halfway dead from 2 hits that weren't even directed at him. Oh, and if I hadn't missed there, he would have been dead before he even dulled his pain. Come on now. There we go. And the mission's complete. And we got a reward merit. Okay. I guess that's the end of the story arc. 2 lieutenants, and that's the end of it. I always want to fight Drek in this story arc, and you never do. He's probably in a task force or something. The good news is that this Freak Show faction war seems to be over for now. The bad news is that Drek is once again firmly in control of the Freak Show. At least we've learned a great deal about their activities over the last few days. Their connection to Cray is something we'll have to keep in mind, as well as their willingness to perform mercenary work to keep themselves in cybernetic technology. I guess you've proved that the day will come when the city's defenders will have to eliminate the Freak Show for good. Hey, why don't we just do that now? Okay, we are almost halfway through level 33. Now, we're not going to be able to get another story arc right away, but let's go ahead and pick somebody up. Let's try Peter Stemets. And we'll head over to Founders Falls and do a mission for him, and then that will probably be it for this episode, because we're already, well, we're only 11 minutes in. My guess is one more mission will probably be all we can do, but it depends on what he gives us. So let's head over to Founders Falls and talk to Peter. There's another contact we need to talk to here in Founders Falls named Philippa Moreau. I think she's another person sending you after Cray. I can't remember what Peter Stemets' arc is. Might be Richte. I'm not really sure. It's been a long time. And to be honest, I never remember which contacts give out which story arcs. I always remember the story arc and almost never the contact. And that is a Nemesis sniper shooting at me. Good luck with that. Greetings, kindred spirit of good. I hope we will assist each other down toward the path of triumph over evil. So you have two options. Continue the battle against Circle of Thorn, wherever they may be, or the Council is producing some sort of advanced robots. I want you to shut them down. Okay, we'll shut them down. But first, I want to see who's targeting me. Can we get up to the top here? Who dares? Right there, buddy. Okay. You're mine. Sniper boy. Unfortunately, I can't kick you off the building like Silver Phoenix. But you're still going to get pounded. And that is a Nemesis sniper. Haven't seen one of them in a long time in this part of town. Okay, so let's head over to the train station. And we will head over to Independence Port and stop the prototype and its guards. I wonder what this prototype is going to be like. We're not on a story arc for him yet. I think we'll get there. Well, it varies. Sometimes you'll get one right away, and sometimes you got to go all the way up here. If I get one right away, I'll bring you guys back in the next episode very quickly. You know, that I will film the next episode in a day or two. If I don't get into a story arc, there may be several days when I don't film. Just depends on how cooperative the game is at giving me a story arc. Man, that bridge looks so cool, silhouetted against the night. It looks really awesome. They did such a nice job, as I've said before, with all the visuals. Even like the war walls, which was an artifice designed to just split the zones up so that there wasn't server lag. Even the war walls, look how cool they are, though. It's not just a solid wall. They made this really cool force field special effect that looks awesome. It's very, very cool. And look how the power lines are silhouetted against it. It's just a really awesome visual. What great design in this game. Beautiful zones, really nice models. I mean, I still am in awe of how nice this game was for 2004. How it still looks good. And it's still better than like half the games out there. And they have no excuse. Oh, there's some council. I wonder if we're going to fight some vampire here. I think, maybe he's going to have us fight the vampire. I'm not really sure. Come on, click. There we go. These guys will be substantially easier than the freak show, especially on our endurance, because they don't res and they don't dull pain. So you just have to get their hit points down once. Whereas with Freak Show, you've got to get their hit points down like 1.5 times, almost 2 times. Alright, so these are red cons. Let's go ahead and soul drain so we can improve our hit and damage and sort of offset their level buff. Always like double hitting with that cone. So cool. So we need to recover the robot parts. Well, those guys are hilarious. They didn't even notice I was there until their buddy went down. A lot of missing still. Just like that. Come on already. This guy stood in there way longer than he should have. Let's get some endurance back. Love being able to do that. As long as we're not constantly missing, you can see how quickly these guys go down to a brute. There's a werewolf. A little bit of resistance, but not too much. You can just see how we cut through these guys much faster than Freak Show. Right, again, because they can't get to this point and then dull pain, so they're just out in the next shot, and then they don't res. So that makes it a lot easier. And especially when I get them in the cone, man, that just chops into pieces. My dot is better than your dot. Dot being damage over time. And there's a lieutenant. Are these the guys? No, it's the vampire that turn into werewolves when you knock them out. I think that's like super awesome for a brute because your fury's built up and then he like switches to another guy and you've already got your fury going. These guys. Oh, but he's a minion, so he won't change it. I think it's the lieutenants that do it. Or maybe the bosses. Which has been so long I don't even remember. Now I want you to note, these guys are worth less XP than the Freak Show. Right? It was not lost on the developers that these would be easier at a given level compared to the Freaks, and so they give you less experience for them because risk is reward, right? If you go through a more dangerous part of the mission or a more dangerous story arc or whatever, you should get more XP for it. And if you fight more dangerous minions, you should get more XP for them as well. I can't believe I missed 2 of those guys. This guy twice. Come on now. Excellent. Another wolf. Night wolf. I hear a glowy. Okay. So these must be plans, I'm guessing, that we're going to be picking up. There's no way of really knowing, because I don't think this is a mission that's like from a story arc. It's just a random mission. So let's see. Oh, these are parts. So we got the robot parts. And there's the prototype. He is a +2 boss. So we're going to clean this out and just fight him by himself with the one bot. Oh, we're being ambushed. Alright, well, let's do Soul Drain. So we can do a little more damage and hit more often and kick these guys' butts. There's another ambush coming, but I don't care. Now the important thing is not to engage the boss while the ambush is going on. But you can go ahead and fight minions while it's going on. It shouldn't be a problem, at least if you're a brute or a scrapper at this level. I mean, obviously, if you're doing something like this at 14th level, you would want to be a lot more careful. But at this level, you can just kick butt and take names. Okay, so let's see. We need some endurance, so let's go ahead and grab that. Do a little bit of inspiration grabbing, and now we're going to try to debuff this guy as much as possible. 1, 2. So that's -10, -15, -20. And we've got him. Got our endurance back. That takes care of him. Now this, I think, is the original. The original hoverbot. And now the rest of the ambush. So I guess we have to take these guys out as well. Somebody walked right into that punch. Ugh. Another miss. that is the mission. So let's head out. So I think we're going to go back and talk to Peter, and then we will stop this episode since it's not a story arc. And guys, I'll bring you back in a few days of my time. It probably won't be days of your time because I'm still pretty... I'm still pretty backed up on the episodes. I still have like... Oh, wait, we're being ambushed. Sweet. Ah, crap. It's just white. That's lame. This almost feels like a story arc. Interesting. When I've got a number of backed up episodes, like 10 or 15 episodes that I haven't posted yet. So we shouldn't have any problem with delays. I purposely let it back up like that because I know when I get into the 30s and 40s, it's gonna take a while for me to get into the story arcs, and I don't want to really show you the non-story arc content because there's really not much to it. It's just missions like that with no purpose. Alright, let's find Stamets and head over to him. This is a really cool bridge. I like the angel statues on it. Well, once again, just beautiful design in this city. Now, the snipers really shouldn't be going after me much. Well, I guess maybe they will. You know, I was going to say because I am under stealth, but I think this sort of the snipers can see through that. So, I don't know. What's going on here? Investigate. Oh, we have to do another mission. Hang on, guys. We need to go to Paris Park. Alright. I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to take a little bit of a break for a second. I'll be right back, and we'll just go straight over to Paris Park. Alright, we are back. Let's go ahead and use the mission teleporter. So we'll go ahead and finish this up, and then I will suspend recording until we get a story arc. So this is a mini arc. This is basically one of these storylines where you get a couple of missions in a row. And they're not really a story arc. They don't count as a story arc, but they kind of go one after another until you get to the end of it, and then you go back to your contact. Which I didn't realize, right? I wasn't paying a lot of attention since it's not a story arc based mission. Oh, and that is a lieutenant, but he doesn't seem to notice us, so we'll finish off the minion first. Oh, now he noticed me. But we're done with the minions, so we'll just go ahead and grab that, and then we'll head up to this guy and start debuffing. 1, 2, 3. He's at minus 15, minus 20, minus 25. So he's basically floored now. There we go. Of course, he's also dead now, or deactivated, I guess is the right word. So we're investigating the base, looking for clues. So right now we just have some advanced robot parts, and we're trying to figure out where they fit in with whatever the council is up to. You can see how much easier this is than Freak Show. So very much easier. These have been fairly small missions, which is why we're on the third mission and kind of barely at the half-hour mark. Oh, we got 3 of these bots here. Well, let's soul drain you guys. Now, I feel like soul drain, they don't have souls, shouldn't actually work on these guys. You should get you should do damage to them but get no buff, because they don't have souls, so you can't drain their souls. But I'm sure if the developers had tried to do that, all of the Dark Melee people would have freaked out and said, "Our character is useless against robots." And of course, the whole character isn't useless. It's just that one power doesn't work fully against robots, which to me should be perfectly fine in the interests of immersion and verisimilitude, which I think are very, very important. But sometimes I feel like I'm not just an old schooler in the ways of game mechanics and having played a long time, but I'm very much an old schooler in the sense of liking and wanting, desiring verisimilitude in my games, in my role-playing games, you know, and believability, immersion. I don't know, does anybody even care about that anymore? Doesn't seem like it. It's always been very important for me. I feel like a lot of people prefer rule of cool to immersion. The rule of cool being if it's cool, do it. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it doesn't fit in with the world, even if it's completely illogical, even if it's wildly unrealistic, if it's cool, do it. I'm not actually a fan of the rule of cool because I feel like, again, it destroys immersiveness. And by the way, no, I'm not failing to soul drain because I don't think soul drain should work on these guys. I'm just not doing it because it's only one guy and there's really no point to doing it against a single guy. Same thing with the endurance drain. It just doesn't get you enough if you don't have several, at least two guys in the radius. Do I hear a glowy? I thought I heard one. Oh, I hear a guy. And there is a kidnap victim. The base leader is being held prisoner, I guess, by these two bots. So we're going to find out what's going on. I guess one of the bots has gone renegade and taken over all the bots. So our clue is the base commander story. Warcry robots are already nearly sentient. So we got some new robots that were supposed to be smarter than any we'd had before. We didn't know what to expect. It was only days before they had begun replicating more of themselves and upgrading our old robots in secret. Now the machines have taken over. Uh-oh. Not good. And now we have to stop the robot coup in Atlas Park. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'll pause it here and bring you back when we are stopping the robot coup. Oh, and we're being ambushed. Hang on. I really wish the ambush would respect the difficulty settings. I guess there just wasn't a way to do that. Not really sure. You'd think it would be just an if-then statement, you know. Or something like that. Something simple. Level equals level plus difficulty, you know, something like that. Alright guys, I'll be right back when we are at the next mission door. Alright, we're back. This is going to go a little long, I guess, because I want to try to finish this mini arc with you guys. But let's see how it goes. This should be the ending of it, I think. And these have been pretty short maps, so hopefully this will be a fairly short one as well. Of course, this could be up to 5 levels. We do have 4 computers to destroy. Hi guys. I'm going to soul drain you. I know it shouldn't work, but it does, so we're going to go ahead and do it. Yeah, so I hadn't actually intended to start talking about that, but let's talk a little bit about the rule of cool. The rule of cool, again, as I said, is if it's cool, do it. You know, that the GM should allow the players to do things that are cool and make their characters awesome. Now, I don't generally have a quarrel with that. I actually think you should let the heroes be awesome and let them do cool things whenever that's possible. But I don't think that you should... let's put it this way. I don't like it when the players being cool destroys the logic and verisimilitude of the world, and then the world becomes unbelievable. So you're cool in an unbelievable way. If I don't believe it, how is it cool? It seems to me like it has to be believable to be cool, right? If I don't believe in it, then what difference does it make how cool it is? That's my feeling. Obviously, anybody can, feel free to disagree, and a lot of people I'm sure will. Um, but yeah, I prefer to have the verisimilitude of the world rather than playing up the coolness factor. I think that I get more out of it when what's happening makes logical sense to me. But that's me. I understand that not everybody's like that. However, if you're a player in my game, you need to understand that I'm not going to let something happen just because it's cool if I think it breaks the logic of the world that I've created. I think that world logic is really important, and I think that has to come first. Yeah, there's a great line from Peter Jackson when he's talking about Star Wars, I think, and it's in the I I believe it's in the I could be wrong. I've got both like all the Lord of the Rings stuff and the like expanded edition DVDs, and I've got Empire of Dreams about Star Wars. You can tell I'm a big fan of both. And in Empire of Dreams, which is a Star Wars documentary, they interviewed Peter Jackson among other directors. I hear it glowy. And in um, and in the Lord of the Rings DVDs, they interviewed him, of course, a lot as well. And at one point, he was talking about building the world and the building the sets and them being detailed and building the world and designing like how the world works and how important this is in something like science fiction or fantasy. And the line he said was, if you believe in the world, then you'll believe in the characters. And if you don't believe in the world, then you're probably not going to believe in the characters. Right? So what he was talking about, I believe he was talking about how George Lucas made tried to make the world believable. James Cameron was talking about the used future, how everything's a little broken down and run down and rusty and needs a new job and it needs new paint, and that is the way like your real house is, and that's the way your real school building and your real office building are. They're worn. There's wear and tear on things, and everything shouldn't look like it was just moved in last Tuesday, because that's not the way things look, except if you actually moved in last Tuesday. And so Peter Jackson's comment was, you've got to believe in the world to believe in the characters. It has to be, and what he meant there was the verisimilitude. Right? If you believe in the sets and the props and everything, then you can believe that the character was actually stabbed with a magic sword, or believe that the character really did climb up that mountain, or slide down into that cavern. And and if the world becomes not believable, if stuff just happens because it's cool, but you can't believe in it because it's illogical, then that harms your ability to believe in the characters. And if you're not going to believe in the characters, what's the point of even having what's even the point of the exercise of having a game, a role playing game, if you're not going to believe in the characters? And so that's kind of my take on it. I think verisimilitude is really important. I think believability is really important. I think that that kind of thing makes you immersed in the world. It makes you feel like this is really happening to you. One of the things I keep talking about in City of Heroes is how well designed, and I want to say immersive, the city is. They made it a believable city, right, that has physical structures in it, three-dimensional structures like on and off ramps to highways and things like this that are extremely similar to the real world. And because of that, there's a high degree of verisimilitude to the city in this game. It's physically, right, the imagery, the 3D artwork makes you believe it. It sells it, right? It is a very realistic city, and so that gives you the verisimilitude that you can believe you're in a real city and actually moving around and flying and jumping, and it's so realistic that when I'm like doing super jump off the top of a building and I go flying way down, it actually does make the pit of my stomach drop a little bit, just like it would if I were on a real roller coaster or something. Now, I mean, it's just a video game, and it's only happening on a screen, right? It's not happening like to me. I'm not wearing VR goggles or anything, but it's still believable enough that I get that same swooping feeling in my stomach that you'd get if you were actually on a amusement park ride. And that's because they have completely sold to me with shadows, with lighting, with atmospheric effects. They have completely sold me on the fact that the city is a real place. It feels like a real place. I can, I know all the zones and what they're like. I know the history of the zones. The immersion isn't just from like the artwork. It's from the fact that the zones have a familiarity to them. Kings Row looks a lot like areas that I grew up near where they had been a boom town or like a really nice place. In my mother's day and in my day, it's like you don't want to go in there. And it's kind of gone to seed. And so it's a formerly nice place that's kind of fallen on bad times. And, well, we all know places like that. And some of us live in or near places like that. And it feels real. When you're on Talos Island, it feels a lot like if you've ever been in a coastal town or an area where there's a lot of beach and a lot of ocean. Many of a lot of the layout of the town, the way the bridges are arranged, again, is very reminiscent of the way you find them in a coastal town along the east coast of the United States. So these guys did their homework, and they did a really good job of making it feel real. And that sells the entire thing. And we are fighting a boss. Let's go get this guy. We want to absolutely cut his to hit down. This is Progenitor Runtime 001. I forgot all about him. I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know if I fought him with Tiger Strike. I think I fought him with Silver Phoenix. I do remember fighting him in live, because back in live I was making a series of fictional covers for Liberty Lass. And in one of the episodes, one of the issues, it actually said something like Liberty Lass versus Progenitor Runtime 001, and I had a picture of her fighting him. It was pretty darn awesome. So we need 2 more computers to destroy. Do I hear a glowy? It's hard to hear it during the combat, but I don't think so. Oh, yep, there is a glowy. Yeah, a friend of mine from grad school, he was a postdoc when I was a grad student, talked about how one of the reasons he liked The Lord of the Rings was because it felt like a real world. And one of the things he said that made it feel like a real world was you only knew a fraction of the lore. There was this idea that you were just looking at the tip of the iceberg, which is the way it is in the real world. You don't know everything. But there is an explanation for everything, even if you don't know it. Right? And so he thought that was really important for verisimilitude. And I remember we talked about like the Shannara books, which he did not like. And he said he felt like there just wasn't enough depth to that world. He didn't believe in the world. So he read I guess the first 2 or 3 books of Shannara, which is all I've read. But he didn't go any further because he said, I didn't really believe in the world and I didn't really like it. We talked about a couple of other fantasies, and then I actually got him reading The Wheel of Time. It was, I think it was on like the 3rd book, and that also had a very big feeling that there was this large, believable world that was fairly realistic, and you only were seeing a fraction of it. And at least in the early books, I thought it was very good. Now, after a while, I got tired of it, and I thought it became like a kudzu plot, and I didn't enjoy it. So I stopped reading it after the seventh or eighth book. But early on, I think it definitely had that feel of verisimilitude. And my postdoc friend, after borrowing the first book from me, went out and bought the rest of them and said, "You're right. It does have this feel of a real world." And so I think that's actually very important. And I agree with Peter Jackson that if you want to believe in the characters, you've got to believe in the world. Right? How do you believe in a character that exists in an unbelievable place? It just doesn't work. So you've got to believe in those in the world if you want to believe in the characters. I'm getting spammed with another phone call here, guys, so I'm going to pause it and I'll be right back. All right, we're back, and there is just one computer to find. There is another lieutenant. Well, your progenitor's dead, boys. It would have been really cool, actually, if there was something like if you destroy the progenitor first, which I managed to do just by luck by going up the right elevator, that all these guys get under some sort of a debuff. That would have been actually kind of cool. But again, it's probably something that they would have had trouble executing in the game engine. And that is the mission. I'm not going to bother destroying the rest of these things because it's been such a long episode, so we're going to stop here. Also, I don't want to start out-leveling story arcs, so I want to make sure that I don't gain too much XP on these non-story arc missions, because I still have 2 or 3 more contacts to go in this level range, thanks to Croatoa. Let's call our contact. And he says, well, it looks like the council has expressed gratitude by knocking over a munition plant upstate. Yeah. Okay, so we helped them out because we helped ourselves out. I'm going to keep working for Peter Stemets, and I'll bring you guys back in the next episode when I've got him on a story arc. Until then, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes on the Rebirth server.